Hello everyone, great to see such a full house still. It's getting late and I'm sure you want to have some venue very soon, but we appreciate your presence here. So let's dive straight into the challenges of the fourth industrial revolution with Minister here. And I have a quick opening question for you, Minister. So tell us a little bit now that we are confronting climate change. What did we actually learn from climate change for the fourth industrial revolution?
Well, thank you for the question. Thank you everybody for coming. I don't know if you know this, but the first time that the UN spoke about climate, it was in 1949. It was the first mention of the UN about climate. Then in 1972, there was the first UN conference on climate change. And in 1987, we had the report by the then Prime Minister of Norway, Gro Brundtland, where for the first time we used the expression sustainable development. And in 1988, we had the setting up of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. So we knew about climate change 35 years ago. And then we spent 35 years debating if science was science. And when we finally decided to agree that science was really science, we now have to do all these massive changes in one decade and a half. So we wasted three decades on debating whether we should accept science. And I'm not sorry to say this, but science is science. Science couldn't care less if you believe it or not, it is science. We are on the verge of massive changes from the fourth industrial revolution. And we don't know exactly what will change in many areas. One of them, we don't know what jobs will be created. We know what jobs will be destroyed, but we don't know, and every time I go anywhere and I have the opportunity to ask this question, can you tell me please what jobs will be created? The answers I get is optimistic, because everybody who's changing the world is optimistic by nature, but they are vague, human-related issues or data-related issues. But it's difficult to set up public policies around these nice but vague answers. So we should not make the same mistake we did with climate change regarding the fourth industrial revolution. We need answers to be able to say, how are we going to prepare for the incoming wave? Because the wave is coming, and we'll not be able to stop it. It's impossible. But if we know how high, how strong, how long, how length, we may be able to prepare ourselves in public policies, working with universities, with businesses, with academia, with civil society organizations, with trade unions, so everybody working together to prepare for the impact of what is changing and is coming.
So let's look for some concrete answers. Everybody, we have a microphone in this room, and we're looking for 5 volunteers who can give us some answers. What kind of jobs do we need for the future? 5 people, there is a microphone. Who wants to go first? What kind of jobs do we need in the future? Everybody can give one word. All right, I see a lot of hands up. 5 people. Who wants to get a job in the future?
Do you know what this tells us? That nobody knows what jobs in the future we'll have. And you in this room are the ones changing the world. If you don't know what the jobs we'll have in the future, then we really are in trouble. Because without knowing the answer to the question, you cannot go to a university or a school and tell a rector or a headmaster, these are the skills that we need to teach in schools and universities. Without knowing the answer to the question, you cannot go to businesses and trade unions and say, these are the changes that are coming and we need to prepare for them in economics. Without knowing the answer, we cannot sit down and prepare for how we're going to deal with people that are too young to retire, but too old to adapt to the changes that are coming. Without knowing these answers, we don't know how to prepare for the change. And you here are the ones that are bringing the change. And when you ask you what changes will come, you all sat down quiet and look around to see if anyone was brave enough to come out with an answer, and nobody was. So we need all to sit down. We need to get everybody in the same room. Governments, you, universities, businesses, trade unions, civil society organizations, international organizations, and we need to sort out this question. Because we know what jobs will be destroyed. Everybody's really quickly and tell me what jobs will disappear, but apparently not here, not in universities, nowhere we know what jobs will be created. And that is troublesome. So keep changing the world. People who change the world are by nature optimistic, and the only answers I get on this question is it's going to be wonderful. Don't worry, it's going to be something never seen. Your kids and your kids' kids will have jobs that we don't even know about it. And that is what is worrying, is we don't even know about it. So we need to work on this. Keep changing the world. Don't stop. Keep moving everything forward. But sit down and talk with everybody. Let's all have a proper conversation on how we're going to deal with the consequences of what you are doing.
And we need to redefine the skill sets and really come up with concrete work and jobs for the future. Anybody would like to still
try again?
Show hand. Yes,
There's
please,
one.
the lady here in the front. Do we have the mic still around? Microphone? There is a hand up here. Yeah, there we go. The lady in the middle. Whether you have a comment or a future job, please go ahead.
Yeah, I have a comment about what the future job will be. We need to upskill people on data literacy and democratizing data for personal data, for consumers, and especially in businesses. I work in data analytics, and I think it's really important. A lot of people don't even know the data they're giving away, personal data, but then also as a business, working across departments now, it's very, very important, whether you're in sales, marketing, human resources, to understand data, good data, bad data. So that's definitely going to be a job of the future.
Data literacy, would you like to reply to that, or shall we get some more people? There are two hands up. Oh, look at that. Now we get the ball rolling.
We're getting the ball rolling.
Okay, that was
yes.
just a siesta break, but now people are warming up. The lady here in front.
Hello, everyone. Well, I'm not sure what I need to learn for the future, and that will be my job in the future. What I really know is that I must keep learning as much as I can, try to find out what is changing, and keep learning. That's what I'm doing now.
Great. There in the back, we have two hands up. Sorry, Joao, you have to run.
Yeah. Hi everyone. Something that I am observing nowadays is that already we have a lot of platforms that are using digital AI, and we need to learn about how to use the digital AI, like digital AI creators or something like that. That's why I'm thinking.
Great. And then there, the lady in the middle.
Hello. I think that more than understanding data is to converge and mix together different fields of knowledge. Yeah. And mixing data with people that understands other people and people that understands the business. And when you mix together these three knowledges, then you have the skills for the jobs of the future, which I don't know because we are not there yet.
Great point. So data and AI. This is the fifth and last person. We promised 5 people. Yes, please go ahead. The minister will be around later to take questions as well.
Okay. Hi, thanks. I think that as we are moving into a time where more and more jobs are being taken over by automation, the skills that people still need is not doing what they're told, because those are the jobs that you can replace by automation, but skilling people to understand the systems that they're acting in and being able to make decisions under uncertainty. and probably more entrepreneurial skills of like having more people starting their own projects in the, like using the opportunities that this new ecosystem is offering. Thank you.
Fantastic point. Thank you so much, and thank you, Joao, for running around with the microphone. So, Minister, we just heard a few ideas, a few concerns as well. Now, obviously, the fourth industrial revolution is creating opportunities on the one hand side with technology and data and AI, but also massive challenges. What are the biggest hurdles for Portugal, and how can you reply to the demands for the jobs in the future?
Yeah, thank you, everybody. I think this was the biggest number of answers that I got since I started asking this question around. What you're saying and what we're learning is that technology technology is neutral. You can use it for good or for bad. Yeah. You can create technology that will help people, or technology can hinder people. And when I was walking around yesterday with the Portuguese Prime Minister and visiting a number of businesses here, one thing that came out immediately on the conversations we had was that you are changing the world, but at the same time, with most of the, if not everybody that we talk to, you are changing the world, and at the same time you are building in your technology answers to climate change and to social impact. And that is really optimistic and good on the way that you are moving forward. It's not just creating technology for technology's sake. It's not just creating technology because it's a good business. It's creating technology with, and businesses with meaning, with impact, with climate change, with social implications, and that gives everybody hope. Any of you remember Dr. House from television? Yeah, most of you do. Dr. House probably will be unemployable in the future because, like you said, data is the basis of the whole industrial revolution. And Dr. House, what he did, what he knew, was he knew better than everybody how to make a diagnosis. He will never beat a computer in comparing symptoms to knowledge. So he's out of the picture. We need to understand all the implications. Here in Portugal, we are working with what we have and how, and trying to figure out what the future will bring. So we have a number of public policies in place to give digital skills. Someone mentioned digital skills when we were asking questions. To give digital skills to every adult, regardless of what they do. So we want to have at least 60% of every Portuguese adult going through digital training until 2025. We are also working with schools to what we call, I'm going to translate this, call digital by its first name. In Portuguese sounds better. But to give as much as training and as much as capacity to understand technology through coding, to understanding the consequences, through knowing how technology works, as soon as as young as you can be to understand these things. We are also working with new forms of technology or new applications of technology. We're going to host here in Portugal the European final of the gaming marathon. That's started all over the world. Here in Portugal, we're going to host the final of the European marathon. It's people building games, and gamification is a really interesting part of the work that you do, because gamification is turning technology in something that is interesting, that is attractive, that will help us to bridge one of the problems that we face in the future, which is creating new technology ghettos, new social ghettos. People who do not understand technology and will be left out of this new change. And this is really serious, because if we don't do that, and when we move public policies into e-government, there will be people that will be excluded from the very rights they have as citizens. So we need to create methods and processes that everybody can be included in the new revolution.
So how will you do that? Portugal is a country of about 10 million people, right? Yeah. You have a per capita GDP of $24,000 US. The growth outlook looks amazing, like 6.2% by the IMF. Absolutely, yes. You can be proud of that. But how to make sure that there are equal opportunities, that the wealth gap is not widening and everybody can benefit from the fourth industrial revolution?
Three things. We need, on one hand, to create the technological structure to cover everybody. So you cannot have areas where technology is not available or the internet is not available. Everybody has to have access to technology. Then you need a second thing, which is you need to train everybody. And training everybody changes from who you're talking to. If you're talking about children, you do that in schools. And I mean, my nephews were born with a chip in their head. I remember my youngest nephew, he would program the VCR for my father-in-law when he was 5 or 6. But the third thing we need, and this is the important thing, is to make sure that nobody is left behind. So we need to involve everybody. Again, we need to take care of these changes in a cooperative way. We need to make sure that people who are retired and living in villages in the middle of nowhere have as much access to public services provided by e-government than people living here in the center of the city.
And as you are the Secretary of State for Internationalization, how do you make sure that with other countries you can also confront those challenges?
There's one thing in technology that is transformative. Technology allows for development to happen everywhere. You will not be bound by borders or by where you're born. Many of you are working from wherever you want to work to places that are far away from where you are. That is really good. But at the same time, we need to understand that the challenges that we face have to be dealt with in different ways in different places. So we need to, the conversation, this conversation that we need to have has to involve other countries and international organizations as well. We cannot make the same mistakes we did with the previous revolutions with this revolution. This revolution allows to involve everybody, and we need to do that.
And we are almost reaching the end of this discussion already. The first industrial revolution was about water and steam. The second was about electric power for mass production. The third, electronics and information technology. Now the fourth is moving into the metaverse as well, digital and virtual and all that. What will the fifth industrial revolution be about, Minister?
I think we need to work in a way that nobody is left behind. One of the worries that I have is that we may end up in some future with more people than jobs. We may end up with structural unemployment. And if we do that, we have to solve two things. One is the practicality. What will people that never had a job, how they were going to eat, get clothes, etc. But the second thing, and probably even harder, is how are we going to make sure that everybody, even people that never had jobs in their lives, are part of a society? How are we going to create the structures that will benefit and that will recognize everybody's contribution to a society where many of us will not have jobs ever in our lives? So we need to solve the practicalities, but we need to understand how to recognize the social value of everybody, whether they work or not.
On that note, we have to finish here. Thank you so much, Minister Cruz. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.